Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. Tang Wutong pulled Huo Yuhao with both her hands. She pulled so hard that he took a step forward. She was now in his embrace. Suddenly, both their bodies lit up, and their 8 soul rings released a fascinating and unprecedentedly bright glow. Huo Yuhao disappeared. A huge vertical eye that was filled with gentleness and love appeared where he was previously. Eye of the Azura. Tang Wutong also disappeared, and turned into a giant, but beautiful radiant butterfly goddess. Her wings closed up and engulfed that vertical eye. All the lights retracted instantly. When they shone again, everyone couldn't help but squint. A tricolored beam made of blue, gold and jade green light appeared. The vertical eye, which seemed so abstruse, as if it were another dimension on its own, shot out from this beam of light. The tricolored beam of light shot 1,000 meters into the sky before turning into a huge beam that seemed to support the entire sky. On the shore, Bei Bei was now in tears as he witnessed everything. He muttered to himself, "A golden road amidst withering resplendence." Yes. Wasn't that tricolored beam of light Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong's fusion skill? A golden road amidst withering resplendence. 10 years ago, they had used this powerful fusion skill to earn their reputation in Shrek Academy. 10 years later, this fusion skill revealed its true brilliance. It was more than 100 times stronger. A sense of awe could be felt everywhere in the air. That beam of golden light seemed to have permanently imprinted itself on the sky. The huge vertical eye rose into the sky. 2 projections lit up at either side of the vertical eye. On one side, there was the Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion, which was shining with diamond ice crystals and a jade-green glow. The other side was completely black. However, there was a weird golden pattern that flashed. It was the dense and heavy clear sky hammer. The 2 projections instantly fused into the vertical eye. Suddenly, the vertical eye changed. A jade-green hammer surfaced as distorted lights shone. The hammer struck the sky. There weren't any resounding sounds to be heard. However, the entire Shrek Academy shook slightly. A jade-green halo that spanned more than 100 meters in diameter appeared in the sky. The inside of this halo was a deep, black and hollow hole. Yes, it had hammered the sky until it cracked. Shusansha was grabbing tightly onto Bei Bei's shoulder. He was muttering word by word, "Blaze." Amidst the frost, the heavenly emperor's hammer, the sky cracked. The 2 sides of the hammer revealed different projections once again. One side was the rose gold eye of the Azura, while the other side was still the pitch-black clear sky hammer. Both the eye and the clear sky hammer fused together. The originally jade-green hammer suddenly turned golden. Following this, it disintegrated. Countless small golden hammers flashed past, within a region covering 1,000 meters in diameter. Strong spiritual undulations caused everyone to feel stunned. Jiang Nan sobbed as she threw herself into Shusanshi's arms. Hikaitu's voice trembled as he said, "Mantra amidst the void, spiritual tempest. She's back. Dorma is back." Everything soon returned to a peaceful state. The Ice Jade Empress and Radiant Butterfly Goddess silently surfaced. They gazed at each other. In the next moment, they performed their last fusion. As they fused, there was only a golden pattern left in the sky. Following this, a captivating leg walked out from the hole. A bright golden figure quietly appeared in the void. She was wearing an elegant golden dress. On her forehead, there was a vertical eye with sunray patterns. She was holding a long dragon pike in her left hand. In her right hand, there was golden trident that was filled with dominance, strength and elegance. Her wavy pinkish blue hair drooped behind her back all the way down to her feet. As she appeared, everything around her lost its gloss. A gentle icy fog circled her body, and snowflakes started to dance in the air. This solitary dance amidst the frost, raiment of light. Yes, she was back. Bei Bei, Hikaitu, Shusansha, Jiang Nan and Xiao Xiao were all very emotional at this point. They were all good friends with Wang Dong. When Wang Dong was still in a coma, Huo Yuhao was depressed. But how could they not be depressed too? They only avoided mentioning her name in front of Huo Yuhao, because they were afraid of triggering his emotions further. However, this didn't mean that they weren't sad. It was just like how Huo Yuhao was also very worried about Tang Yue, and risked his life to save her. They were teammates, close friends, sworn friends and Shrek's 7 monsters. Right now, they were all very emotional when they saw the familiar Golden Road, Heavenly Emperor's Hammer, Spiritual Tempest and Raiment of Light. In fact, they had known that Tang Wutong was here for the blind date. Zhong Lishuan and Han Ruoruo also knew, but they didn't tell Huo Yuhao beforehand. This was because they were afraid of making him feel conflicted. At the same time, they wanted to give him a surprise. Right now, they couldn't contain themselves when they saw what was happening, even though they had already predicted this long ago. The goddess of light descended from the sky as she was surrounded by icy fog, dim golden light, and the ravishing and holy looks of the goddess of light, as well as the eye of destiny on her forehead. Even Yang Xiaozhe was in awe, even though he was a transcendent Doluo. Everyone could sense how strong the goddess of light was. This was the fusion of light and ice, and the best form that Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong could adopt together. No, it should be the best form that Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong could adopt together. The goddess of light gently landed on the icy surface. She scanned the entire place, and a slight smile appeared on her face. Initially, Huo Yuhao had controlled 3 of the 4 fusion skills that Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong shared. Only this goddess of light was mainly controlled by Wang Dong. At the same time, this fusion skill was the most extreme out of the 4 fusion skills. This was because the goddess of light possessed almost all the abilities that Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong had. She combined their powers perfectly. The goddess of light had appeared once again. Right now, this goddess of light was the combination of the 8-ringed Huo Yuhao and 8-ringed Tang Wutong. A fusion skill, which was a combination of the powers of 2 8-ringed soul masters, should be as strong as the abilities of a titled Doluo. Currently, they were 2 of the strongest in the world of soul masters. As for how strong the goddess of light was, no one knew as of now. The goddess of light lifted her head to look at the sky, revealing a complex look in her eyes. Following this, a gentle, golden glow rippled from her body. Everything seemed to turn illusory within this golden glow. 2 figures separated from the goddess of light. Under the golden light, they turned back into Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong. 4 eyes met. Huo Yuhao was already in tears. A tall, big man was now crying like a child. Huo Yuhao had turned his yearning for Wang Dong into the 3 ultimate Haodong skills. Right now, his yearning for Wang Dong had turned into love and tears. He hadn't expected such a surprise today. This surprise enhanced his life and made him long for life. It was everything. It was the courage to carry on living, the will to pursue excellence and the confidence to reach for the godly realm. When Wang Dong was in a coma, Huo Yuhao's entire world had turned grey, but it was now colorful once again. Dong. Huo Yuhao hugged her. He hugged her tightly, as if he wanted to make her a part of him. He only felt that his mind and heart were being enhanced right now. His soul power was surging, and their Haodong power was unleashed the instant he hugged Tang Wutong. His passageways widened, and thick soul power undulations surrounded both him and Tang Wutong. Tang Wutong lay in his embrace. Her arms circled around his waist and back. She gently said, "I'm Tang Wutong, not Dong. It's not important. It's not important right now." Huo Yuhao said agitatedly. He wasn't willing to let go of her anymore. He had found his love again. This feeling made him feel as if he had earned a new life. Zhong Lishuan and Han Ruoruo looked at each other and smiled. The 2 of them said together, "A union has been made." Huo Yuhao, Tang Wutong, congratulations. Thank you, thank you. Huo Yuhao couldn't say anything else right now. His heart was already filled by the person in his arms. He gently touched the icy surface with his toes and shot into the sky. In the next instant, he turned into a beam of golden light that disappeared deep into Sea God's Island. It was only at this instant that everyone on Sea God's Lake and the shore of Sea God's Lake reacted. Although most people didn't know what had happened, they saw what the result was. They saw that astonishing yet touching scene. Suddenly, the atmosphere at the Sea God's fated blind date was raised to the extreme. Huo Yuhao didn't return to the Sea God's pavilion. He hugged Tang Wutong as he flew to the platform that they had fought on together before. This was the quietest place on the island right now. They wouldn't be disturbed. Huo Yuhao continued to hug her tightly even as they landed. It was as if he really wanted to fuse her with him. It was only now that Huo Yuhao felt that everything that had happened before was unreal. Yes, it was unreal. There was nothing more appropriate than the Haodong power to prove Tang Wutong's identity. The Haodong power only belonged to him and her. Even though it was much stronger than it was before, its origin was still the same. He was too familiar with this. He was too familiar. Tang Wutong leaned into Huo Yuhao's arms as she quietly felt his passionately burning heartbeat. They shared this embrace, and two slender shadows stretched out under the moonlight. Tang Wutong pushed Huo Yuhao away gently after a long while, and stood straight from within his arms. Huo Yuhao lowered his head and stared into her eyes. Tang Wutong felt her heart skip a beat, as his gaze was just too passionate, hot enough to melt steel. Yuhao. Millimeter. Huo Yuhao's hands were still around her waist, and he didn't relax his grip at all, like she would immediately leave him if he did. Tang Wutong said gently, "Give me some time, okay?" Huo Yuhao was momentarily stunned. "What's up with you, Donga?" Tang Wutong shook her head gently. "I've already said, I'm Tang Wutong. I'm not Wang Donga." "Really, I'm Tang Wutong." "Eh?" Huo Yuhao stared at her in surprise. He responded confusedly, "Donga, didn't you come here to reunite with me on the Sea God's fated blind date, because you've recovered your memory?" Tang Wutong gently shook her head and said, "More accurately put, I have recovered the memory that belonged to Wang Donga." Huo Yuhao was even more perplexed. He stared at her in confusion and asked, "What's happened, exactly, Donga?" Tang Wutong said gently, "Just call me Tang Wutong from now on. That's my real name. Donga is a fake name I used back then." Huo Yuhao immediately nodded. Her name was secondary to him. What was most important was Tang Wutong as a person. Tang Wutong's eyes seemed a little blurry as she smiled bitterly and said, "To be frank, I had to think long and hard about meeting with you on the Sea God's Lake today, and that's because I know I'm not entirely ready yet. Listen to me, okay? Okay." Huo Yuhao's eyes instantly became a little more nervous. Even though he was very excited because of his reunion with Donga, he could tell from Tang Wutong's expression that things didn't appear that simple. How could he not be nervous? Tang Wutong held his hand and pulled him over to a flat surface beside them and sat down. "Do you remember that day? The Dragon Emperor Doluo forced us into a corner, and you stabbed yourself 9 times to save me." Tang Wutong's voice trembled a little as she spoke. Even though that had happened a long time ago, she could feel her heart and soul quivering when she thought back to what had happened that day. "That day, when I watched you plunge that knife into your own body with a plain and emotionless look on your face, my entire heart tied itself into a painful knot, and I was hurting so much. Only then did I realize what suffocating heartache felt like. I will never forget that feeling. I'd already developed some positive feelings towards you by then, but there was no way I could identify what that feeling was. But I knew that you didn't stab yourself with that knife for me because you liked me, you did it because I was your companion. Perhaps, part of the reason was also because I look very, very similar to Wang Donga. Furthermore, what I saw in your eyes wasn't pain, it was liberation. Yes, liberation. In that moment, I suddenly felt so terribly afraid, and that wasn't just because of the pain that you were suffering. More of that was because of your eyes that seemed like you were liberating yourself. Only then could I clearly see how deep your love for Wang Donga was. I was struck a little deeper with every stab, and my emotions quickly crumbled. When I watched you stab yourself for the last time, when you were definitely going to die, I felt like something somewhere deep in my heart had cracked apart. That pain was indescribable, and in that moment, I seemed to lift some kind of seal as countless things surged through my brain. I passed out. When I woke up and saw you next to me and that you weren't dead, nothing seemed bad about the situation. I was a little lost, because there were too many memories in my mind. That made me panic and afraid, and my entire being was lost and confused. I didn't like that feeling, but I seemed to like how those memories returned to me. Therefore, I carried you and took you back to the Tang sect. I returned to Sea God's Island after taking you back, and I told everyone I was going into closed-door cultivation, so that I could sort out these messy memories. I gradually began to understand that, yes, your initial judgment wasn't wrong, and I am Wang Donga. Rather, I used to be Wang Donga, your Wang Donga. But Wang Donga's memories aren't the only ones in my mind. Have you not realized? Back when I was Wang Donga and when I was together with you, I never spoke to you about my childhood. That's because Wang Donga back then didn't remember anything that happened in her childhood. And now I, Tang Wutong, and not Wang Donga, am a complete version of myself. Wang Donga's memories are of those years that she spent with you. Other than that, I have many memories about my childhood, some remnants of which have come through Wang Chioa. I don't know what's going on, but for the moment, Wang Donga's memories have taken charge amidst all my memories. Memories of my childhood and those remnants from Wang Chioa seems to have merged together with those main memories. I'm lost and I don't know what to do, but I do know that I cannot lose you, you're just too important to me. But I cannot lie to you, and I cannot tell you that I am purely Wang Dongjia, because I am Tang Wutong. I am Tang Wutong, who was once Wang Donga. Aside from my childhood memories and Wang Chioa's remnants, I have the memories spent with you that belong to Tang Wutong. These memories are making me confused and frightened, and I don't know if you're willing to accept me like this. I haven't been able to sort through everything yet, and I need some time. I need some time to see myself clearly. Huo Yuhao slipped into a bit of a daze as he listened to Tang Wutong's description, but his eyes gradually became gentle and tender once more. There wasn't just deep emotion in his eyes, they were also full of loving pity. Huo Yuhao opened his arms and took her into his embrace. He gently caressed her wavy pinkish-blue hair as he said gently, "You're thinking too much, silly girl. You became my Donga from that moment, when my soul power fused with yours and recreated our Haodong power. I can understand everything you're saying, and the reason why you've become like that is because of that strange illness that you suffered from as a child. If I had known you were Donga without her memory, even if you'd completely forgotten me, I would still find ways to make you like me all over again. Right now, your memories are just a little mixed up, so how can I not accept you? As long as I'm sure that you're my Donga, no, I should say that you're my Wutong, then I am content. I will love you, treasure you, and wait until you've completely rediscovered yourself, until you've completely merged your memories together. I have an entire lifetime to wait, so I'm not worried or impatient. I'm not worried at all. But this time, I will never let you leave my side again, no matter what. I will always protect you, and I will be wherever you are. Nobody can separate us anymore." Tang Wutong listened to his confession that came from his heart, and her eyes slowly turned red as she leaned into his arms and gently shut her eyes. "Do you know, Yuhao, I really wasn't ready at all. I was afraid that I wouldn't have a chance to prove to you that I'm your Donga, and I was also afraid that you would reject me, because I'm no longer purely Donga. But I couldn't not try, because I didn't know if my future self would have a chance if I missed this chance. I'm very happy, I'm truly very, very happy. I will definitely work hard to merge all my memories together, with Donga's memories guiding everything. But I've realized that besides my childhood memories from which you are absent, all my memories are filled with you." Huo Yuhao chuckled and said, "That's good enough." Tang Wutong's elegant body suddenly tensed as she turned to look at him. "What's wrong?" Huo Yuhao was sensitive, and immediately felt that change. Tang Wutong frowned slightly and said, "Yuhao, I'm afraid there will be trouble in the future, because we are together. I'm afraid you'll have to gain my father's approval first." Huo Yuhao laughed and said, "I think I'm considered outstanding among the younger generation. How can my father-in-law not approve of me? Tang Wutong shook her head gently and continued, it's not that simple. I'm my father's only daughter, and my father's love for me is definitely not beneath yours. He's said that anybody who wants to be his son-in-law has to accept and pass his strict assessment. Huo Yuhao replied without hesitation. That's normal. A father-in-law testing his son-in-law is natural. I will accept everything, no matter how difficult the tests are. Furthermore, I believe that he won't deliberately give me trouble if he knows how much I love you. But, my father, Tang Wutong stopped there, as the golden trident on her forehead suddenly flickered, and she swallowed the rest of her sentence. She blushed faintly, and her expression became a little strange. Huo Yuhao didn't notice all that, and he just hugged her. His heart was full in this moment. Tang Wutong also leaned into his arms as she slowly closed her eyes. It wasn't hard to imagine the conflict and struggle that she had suffered in her heart, and an unsettling feeling echoed in her heart from time to time. Yet now, finally, she had managed to find her man once more in the second sea god's fated blind date that they had participated in together. She lifted her hand and gently touched the golden trident on her forehead. Tang Wutong couldn't help but pout a little, like she was trying to express cheeky displeasure to someone. It was daybreak, and the light of the morning sun stretched gradually from beyond the horizon as a gorgeous and transparent beam. It carried the gentle morning dew as it shone upon a beautiful couple in the sparring arena. Huo Yuhao gradually opened his eyes as purple light could be faintly seen from the bottom of his eyes, and he absorbed the purple energy that came from the white sun in the east. His entire being's aura seemed to be awakened. He lowered his head and stared at Tang Wutong, who was still sleeping soundly on his lap, and his eyes became incredibly tender. Yes, they slept for the entire night in this place. They didn't confess anything more, and they just had each other's warm embraces, as they felt each other's heartbeats and love. They slowly fell into slumber as they immersed themselves in that intoxicating sensation. The shadows in their hearts seemed to have been dispelled after this night, and as Huo Yuhao opened his eyes and saw the light coming from the horizon, all he felt was that his fatigue from the recent months was gone. His mind felt even more liberated than his body did. Huo Yuhao gently caressed Tang Wutong's long hair, and he realized that his feelings towards her seemed to have changed compared to a long time ago. There was more treasuring besides love, and there was nothing more joyous for him than for Dong to return to his side. Just like he had told her last night, he wouldn't let her leave his side ever again, no matter what. He would protect her for his entire life. I was wondering where you two were. You're actually all the way out here. Did you sleep here last night? A voice suddenly rang out in this moment, and Huo Yuhao was awakened from his thoughts. He turned around and saw his eldest senior sister, Zhong Lishuan, walking up from beneath them with an amused look on her face. She quickly arrived next to them. Tang Wutong woke up. She had slept lying down, and used Huo Yuhao's thigh as her pillow. She was sleeping very comfortably, as she opened her blurry eyes, and saw Zhong Lishuan. She hurriedly sat up as she lowered her head. She blushed as she said softly, eldest senior sister. Zhong Lishuan grinned and said, the two of you have been reunited after all, and I didn't waste my efforts this time. Seems like the two of you have settled everything. Huo Yuhao stared at Zhong Lishuan in shock. Eldest senior sister, so you already knew. Zhong Lishuan laughed. Of course. Otherwise, why do you think I'd help her? Why would I arrange everything like that? Would I let the two of you confess to each other in private? But I wasn't very confident when the event was halfway through, because I didn't know how Tang Wutong would convince you, stubborn donkey. Seems like she did have a solution after all. Huo Yuhao scratched his head. What had happened last night was no longer important for him. What was important was that he had managed to find Dong once more. Rather, he managed to find Tang Wutong again. Eldest senior sister, why are you looking for me so early in the morning? Huo Yuhao was a little displeased about Zhong Lishuan interrupting their warm and peaceful time together. Zhong Lishuan rolled her eyes and said, Yuhao, have you become forgetful? You must have forgotten about real business, because you have Wutong. Do you still want to graduate? Ah? Yes, Huo Yuhao really did forget that he had his graduation assessment today. Furthermore, teacher Wang Yang had told him that his graduation test would be difficult yesterday. He was still thinking about the assessment when he was participating in the Sea God's fated blind date, and he was supposed to prepare for the test after going through the motions for the event. But Tang Wutong had recovered dormant memories, and their Haodong power had fused once more, and that made him forget about his test completely. Only now when Zhong Lishuan brought it up did Huo Yuhao remember that he had such an important thing to do. You did forget, didn't you? Are you still taking the test? Let me tell you, if you don't take this test, you'll have to wait for at least 3 years before you can have another chance. Hurry up. Oh, okay. Wutong, come with me. Huo Yuhao turned around and grasped Tang Wutong's hands as he spoke. They were finally reunited, and he wouldn't let her leave his side, no matter when and what. All right. Tang Wutong nodded in acknowledgement. There was some amusement in her eyes as she stared at him. She could feel his nervousness towards her, and she was very happy about that. The test naturally wouldn't happen so early in the morning. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong went to eat something before they arrived outside the Sea God's pavilion together. Zhong Lishuan told him that the test would begin here. Their surroundings were very tranquil and peaceful when they arrived in front of the Sea God's pavilion. Nobody else was around, and Huo Yuhao led Tang Wutong as he knelt down in front of the golden tree and kowtowed respectfully. Do you know, teacher? I've finally found Dorma again, and she's called Tang Wutong now. Her illness has been treated, and we are finally back together again. I will never let her go again, and I will always be beside her to protect and love her. I will take her as my wife, and you must come if you can on the day that we get married. You are my closest family, and we would be especially happy if you could give us your blessings. Golden light seemed to flicker on the golden tree, as if the dragon god Doluo Mu Ien was answering them. You're still young, and you're thinking about marrying. Weren't you always so depressed and lifeless before this? Elder Xian's teasing voice could be heard. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong stood up, but they were a little dazed as they turned around, because the formation that they could see was a little too large. The elders of the Sea God's pavilion streamed out from the Sea God's pavilion under Elder Xian's lead. Elder Xian walked at the forefront, while Elder Song and Elder Zhuang followed behind him. The other elders were behind them, along with the Martial Soul Department's Dean, Yang Shaozhe, the department's Vice Dean, Cai Maya, the Soul Tool Department's Dean, Xian Lina, and its Vice Dean, Qian Duo. Their eldest senior sister Zhong Lishuan, Bei Bei, teacher Wang Yang, and Han Ruoruo followed at the back. Almost every single person from Shrek Academy's upper echelons had arrived. Am I not the only one taking the graduation test today? This thought surfaced in Huo Yuhao's mind. Greetings, Elder Xian, elders. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong hurriedly came forward to greet them. Elder Xian could see that they were holding hands, and he couldn't help but laugh as he said, Are you satisfied now? Let me tell you, if you want to leave Shrek City again, you may, but Wutong has to stay. You can go wherever you want, and we won't restrict you at all. Huo Yuhao immediately said without hesitation, No, I'm not going anywhere. I will be wherever Wutong is. Ha 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 ha. Huo Yuhao's attitude caused all the elders to laugh out loud. Elder Song couldn't help but smile and shake her head. Youngsters. Youngsters after all. Huo Yuhao scratched his head embarrassingly. What he said was instinctive, and just came out of his mouth. Tang Wutong blushed even more, but she had no intention to withdraw her hand from Huo Yuhao's grasp. Elder Xian said, All right, let's talk about legitimate business. I've heard from Lishuan that you're planning to pass the test and conclude your studies in the academy. Huo Yuhao was a little speechless. Do you not know what I want? My graduation test has already brought out the various elders. What are they trying to do? Yes. I have been studying in the academy for many years, and I wish to pass the test so that I can officially become a graduate from the inner courtyard. He had other thoughts on his mind, but he was still very honest and politically correct on the surface. It seemed like this formation would be quite a challenge to overcome, So it was better to be a little more honest and sincere. Elder Xian nodded and said, "Good. That counts as an accomplishment in your studies, and that's a very glorious thing for students. Because of your especially outstanding performance, everyone will observe today's graduation test. Lishuan, you will be the main supervisor. Tell him what today's test will be about." "Yes." Zhong Lishuan acknowledged, as she stepped out and stared at Huo Yuhao amusingly. But for some reason, Huo Yuhao could feel that her smile wasn't a friendly one. "The original plan was to give you 7 tasks, but after my report to the Sea Gods Pavilion's elders, they have decided that because of your contributions to the Academy, and because you're also part of the Sea Gods Pavilion, we will condense 7 tasks into 3. Huo Yuhao's head swelled when he heard that there were 7. 7 condensed into 3 seems pretty good. But these 3 tasks will probably be very difficult. Yes, Zhong Lishuan's subsequent words made Huo Yuhao react with utter shock. Zhong Lishuan said, "First, because you've accepted teachings from both the Martial Soul Department and the Soul Tool Department, both departments will give you an assignment to accomplish separately. These constitute the first 2 assignments, and they have been given by Dean Yang and Dean Xian respectively. Dean Xian's assignment for you is for you to forge a Class 9 stationary soul cannon shell for the Academy, and Dean Yang's assignment is for you to defeat him in battle." "What?" Huo Yuhao stared at Zhong Lishuan with wide eyes and open jaws, like he was witnessing the descent of God. "This is the graduation test. What kind of test is this?" His first assignment was to craft a Class 9 stationary soul cannon shell, and his second assignment was to defeat Dean Yang. Dean Yang was a rank 97 transcendent Doluor, who possessed the Radiant Phoenix as his martial soul. What kind of joke was that? Zhong Lishuan pretended she didn't hear Huo Yuhao's exclamation, as she continued, "As for your third assignment, it's intended to test your integrated abilities. The Academy will give you a third assignment once you complete the first 2, and the Academy will let you graduate once you complete that one." Huo Yuhao was completely speechless at this point. He glanced at Zhong Lishuan, and then at Elder Xian beside her. He laughed bitterly and said, "Elder Xian, do you think we can do it this way? I'll just remain a student at the Academy, and I'm not going to graduate. Is that okay?" Elder Xian said amusingly, "Yes, of course you may. The Academy will be proud to always have a student like you. But I have to remind you of one thing. Huo Yuhao, the Academy has a very explicit rule that students are not allowed to have intimate relationships with teachers. Tang Wutong is now an assistant teacher for the Academy. Therefore, there is a problem with the status between the 2 of you. You can continue being a student, but you won't be able to have this relationship with Teacher Tang in the future. Do as you wish." This video will end here.